Britt.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was excited to talk to you. It's been a while.
I know it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know we don't have a ton of time, but I guess my first question I'm sure everyone's asking is like the "you did it to me again" thing. You know, uh, Talk to me, I guess, about that moment and like what made you switch. Was it the Dolores of it all?
It's such a complicated, it wasn't just the Dolores of it all, although I did think Danielle's gonna go no matter what. She is a sunk ship. And it wasn't Dolores that made me believe that, it was Dylan. When I realized that she had lost Dylan, that's when it clicked for me that she's gone. And I have to try to trudge my path forward without her because she's gone. Like she's dead without Dylan. Our entire honeymoon period was based on the fact that she for sure had Dylan, and Dylan had he's so influential. He had the influence in the ear of everybody else. So if we had Dylan, we had the easiest path to walk to victory.
Hmm.
And that's like whenever I'm in the turret and she recruits me and we're so happy. We were so happy going to that mission. Like we were just on cloud nine because it was like, we've got Gabby to the wall. We're going to take down Gabby tonight with Dylan's blessing, and we're going to cakewalk this into the finale. Like we were so happy. And then it was in the moment that I was running around scrambling trying to save her, and then I realized that she didn't have Dylan is when the walls really fell for me, and I was like, wow, like
Hmm.
her losing Dylan was really like the huge moment. So going into that banishment table, I knew that she didn't have a good chance, but Dolores was being cagey with me prior to the banishment table about which way she was going to go. And I was trying to get her to say to me, this is prior to the what you're referencing, which is the face of it all. This is prior to that, whenever we were going in, and I was saying to her, if you vote this way and I vote this way, and I was trying to explain to her, we're going to a tiebreaker. And she wouldn't tell me what she was going to do. She was like, well, I have to hear Gabby's argument. Well, I like, she just kept saying like, I can't tell you for sure what I'm going to do. And so not knowing where she was going to land, I'm trying to, because what I really believed was, of course, I want to win with Danielle. But if she's sunk, if she's dead, I have to now act out of self interest and self preservation because if we can't win together, I still want to win this game. And
Yep.
she, to me, is a sunk ship. And so if she's sunk, what can I do at this banishment table where tomorrow, when I'm still here, I have to have played in a way that I can try to exonerate myself or try to talk myself out of my actions. And so I shot myself in the foot first, actually, by voting for Ivor, because no one in the real world believes that Ivor is a traitor.
I know.
So, I mean, it's ridiculous. So, me and Danielle working together to not, I mean, after arguing against Gabby, I still gave her the first vote, not against Gabby, even though that made absolutely no like good logical
Yeah.
sense.
Did you switch that at the table, or you would plan to vote for Ivor instead of Gabby?
We
Like,
kind of were like we knew we had to go with Dolores's number. Like
yeah.
we knew like we need Dolores's number. We have to have it.
Yep.
And so when Dolores started arguing against Ivor at the table, even though like we wanted to go with the Gabby thing, like that was our goal, was like we are going to go with the Gabby thing. But when she started arguing against Ivor at the table, we had to in that moment be like, we have to have that number. If Danielle and I just vote for Gabby, that was going to get us nowhere.
Nope.
So we had to just roll with Dolores. So the thing is, Dolores was so hard to pin down what she was going to do. And she had told me that she didn't want to go to a tiebreaker, but then like knowingly walked into a tiebreaker that was very obvious to see coming. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And so anyhow, I really did think that Dolores was going to flip her vote, but I was also acting out of self-preservation of how do I defend myself for not voting for Danielle in the light of all this evidence that's out here. And no one thinks Ivor's a traitor. Like it's so stupid. Like, how am I going to defend myself voting for Ivor tomorrow if Danielle loses that coin toss? Like
Yeah.
if Ivor gets up there and says, I'm a faithful, which is what's going to happen if he loses the coin toss, it's just going to be a rinse and repeat the next day. If Danielle loses the coin toss and gets up there and says that she's a traitor, I'm going to have to defend the fact that I was refusing to vote for her, like absolutely refusing to vote for her.
Yeah.
And if Dolores switches her vote and Danielle goes home anyway, she's going to get up there and say she's a traitor, and I'm going to be the only person who didn't vote for her. The only one of all these people at the table, the one who didn't vote for her. So I felt like voting for her again was just sticking my neck out just too far where I wouldn't be able to walk it back. I wouldn't be able to explain it with any amount of logic why I just had this absolute refusal in light of that argument against her being so compelling and so strong.
Yeah. I think you were in a tough spot either way. So you could play out every scenario, but it's like, I
Yeah,
think you
of
were in trouble
course.
anyway.
And if it had gone a different way, and then she would have still got banished, and I would have still got banished, people would be like, "Oh, you should have voted out Danielle.
Yeah.
That would have
Yeah.
changed your life. If you would have just voted out Danielle, you would have won." People would be saying the same thing to me,
Yep.
regardless of the outcome. I think that in any world, in any scenario, we had a really tough go at it after she lost Dylan. And I've seen a lot of people saying, like, "Oh, you should have voted out Dylan instead of Tom." I totally agree.
Hmm.
The Tom vote was because she thought she had Dylan. Like everything,
Uh,
the whole crux was that she thought she had Dylan. She was so sure she had him that we were like, well, let's go after somebody who we know you don't have, which was Tom.
got it.
But if we had known that Dylan was onto her, of course, we would have murdered him.
Yeah.
Still, it would have been tough because Tom was onto her just as much as Dylan was. But really, the contingency in our plan to victory was Dylan, and he flipped.
Damn. Okay. This makes sense. In terms of, is that where do you sort of pinpoint of like, okay, this is where my game went wrong? Was it even getting recruited? Was it voting for Danielle? Was it like, where do you think, damn
No,
that?
for me, my game went wrong when I was a faithful. I was
Uh,
in a position of no power right then and there. Every single one of those people you see at the table at the end and me fighting for my life, I didn't pick them to be around me. You saw a collection of people that best served Danielle. None of those people best served me. I wouldn't
mhm.
have wanted a single one of those people there. They all doubted me. If I could have brought my best friends to the end of the game, maybe it would have been a different outcome. I had to throw a Hail Mary in the 11th hour and work with what I had. But what I had was a bunch of people that I hadn't really worked with in the castle. Those were all Danielle's people. So I had to try to trudge forward on her path to victory once she was gone. But those weren't my people. Those weren't,
Yeah.
if you said, Brittany, put 5 people out here who will never vote you out, those wouldn't have been my 5. You know what
I
I
think,
mean? That
yeah. You
because
handled the seer power well though with the Gabby trying to get her on,
I was a faithful. The moment I was a faithful, my control was completely gone. What could I do?
yeah.
I'm one dissenting voice out of however many people are left in the game. I made it by I mean, I don't call it strategy if you're faithful. You're literally just
Sitting there.
grasping at straws and sitting around. It's not even strategic. It was serving Danielle, right? I was one of her people that she wanted left at the round table. So out of her own self-interest, she pulled me along in the game. And then at the 11th hour, I had to suddenly try to take control with not being able to be in control the entire time. So
Yeah.
I feel like my fate, the flaw in my game, the fate in my game was sealed when I was made a faithful. The seer power I hated. uh,
Yeah.
it was terrible, but it's terrible kind of to me if you look at it any which way. It's terrible. It's bad for
Yeah.
you if you're a traitor. It's bad for you if you're a faithful who gets chosen to go in because you're it's a 50-50 chance that the person who brings you in is going to say you're a traitor anyway.
Hmm.
And then your game is over. Like I could have,
Yeah.
completely demolished Gabby's game. So, I mean, and it was real. I spent a long time analyzing who should I bring in, what would make the most sense, what might be helpful for me. Ran the argument for every single person. Gabby to me was the most hopeful, but I knew it was going to, it essentially eliminated for me a potential target. I only have this very limited number of potential targets left, and now I have to eliminate 20% of them.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Hmm.
Like, no matter what, that sucks. But my other option is to destroy their game on my way out too, because I'm definitely going to go too. And then there's just the separation of it all. Like once I had the seer power, I was separated from the group. I wasn't with them when they were doing all of their post banishment table strategy. I was off by myself with Alan. So I mean, it separated me for a long time from them. And so I didn't get to be part of that discourse of post Danielle, let's vent it, what happened, what looks suspicious. Huge
Oh, that
detriment to my
sucks.
huge detriment to my game that I didn't get to be there for that. I didn't get to
Interesting.
see those people again until breakfast, you know?
Mm.
So I didn't get to have the post banishment moment to be like, "Oh, well here's my side of the story. Here's what I was thinking." I didn't get to air any of that until it had already been established in their minds.
Yeah,
So
you were screwed either way. Because if you didn't win, then yeah.
if I didn't win, the worst case scenario was somebody pulls me in and then my game's over.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, the seer power sucked for me no matter what. But again, for me, it was about at least I'm in control. If I have it, at least I'm in control. The other option for me is to sit in the back seat and just try to grab the wheel at the last second, which is
Yep.
basically how I had to do the whole rest of the game. And I thought, I would rather be in the position of control than the position of grasping at the wheel at the last second.
Yeah. They're wrapping me, Brett. Let me know if you want to chat a different time.
I
Real
know
quick.
this is like way too short. 10
It
minutes for
is.
me is the answer to one question. Like, are
I
you
know, it's fine. Real quick, are you and Danielle like okay after the reunion? Like, are you guys good?
I think so. We had a really good talk after the reunion, and it's so deep and it goes much deeper than that. And I don't like the way that the reunion looked and played out at all. It's a deeper, longer conversation. I have nothing but respect for Danielle. I absolutely no ill will, never was, never will be as far as I'm concerned. So, I leave that to her. I don't want to speak for her,
Yeah.
but that's
Okay.
my position.
Fair. All right. Well, thanks, Brittany. Appreciate you.
All
If you
right.
ever want to chat, let me know.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks.